My name is Jared Dunn, and I'm going to die. At some point. I don't know how much time I have left, and neither do you. How should we spend our time wisely? And what even is time? I bet most of you could tell me what the time is, whether it's by your watch or by your phone. Augustine of Hippo said, "What then is time? If no one asks of me, I know. If I wish to explain it to him who asks, I know not." I've been fascinated by these questions and the concept of time for all my life, and it scared me thinking about it. Every moment from the beginning of time has led up to this moment now where I am speaking to you. So what? Why does it matter how I spend my time on this earth? Our lives are very important to us, but we do not know how much time we have left. And as I discuss with you what we define as time, as we look back at the history of our universe, and as we discover how we spend our time in our lives, you will seriously reconsider the priorities in your life and find more happiness as you progress through this life. And we begin with what we understand as time. Now, time is measured by cyclical events, things that happen over and over again. One day is defined by its Earth rotating on its axis once. And what can we do with this time? Google confirmed in 2016 that its search engines process over 5.5 billion searches per day. In 2017, Apple averaged sales of almost 600,000 iPhones per day. Compare that to 10 years ago when Apple's first phone came out and it averaged just 4,000 per day. YouTube statistics for 2018 calculate that 430,000 hours of footage is uploaded daily, roughly 49 years worth of videos. Crazy. Now, time has a forwards direction. And throughout the universe, we have the same understanding for which day was yesterday and what day is tomorrow. And the reason why yesterday is different from tomorrow is because the day before yesterday was different from yesterday. Now, our understanding of time goes as far back as the Big Bang. At this time, the universe was in a state of low entropy. Now, entropy refers to the organization of matter. Low entropy basically means the matter is very organized. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy will only ever increase or stay consistent. It will never decrease. Now, we see the effects of increasing entropy as our universe expands. An easy way of thinking about it is imagine pool balls racked perfectly on a pool table. Now, they're very organized. This is low entropy. As the cue ball strikes the balls, they scatter and become disorganized. This is entropy increasing. The matter goes from organized to disorganized. Now, it would be impossible for somebody to hit that cue ball and for all the balls to rearrange themselves and to come back perfectly into that racked shape. Now, this is the idea that gives time its forward direction. Now, some things are predictable, repetitive, and this is what allows us to measure time. Things like the sun rising and setting. However, some things can only happen in one direction, like a popcorn kernel popping or an egg cracking. Now, these are changes that cannot be reversed because the entropy of these objects has increased. They've gone from organized to disorganized and cannot be reversed. Now, yesterday's entropy was lower than today's. Matter is consistently expanding. Now, we can follow this time backwards by appealing to what we call a low entropy boundary condition. Or in other words, follow entropy back to its most organized state that we can comprehend. Again, we're going to visit the Big Bang, 13.7 billion years ago. Now, time condensed allows us to view our lives in a different perspective. The cosmic calendar condenses the entire history of the universe into just one calendar year, with January 1st being the Big Bang, and present day being midnight on December 31st. Each day represents 40 million years. Some of the notable events in the cosmic calendar occur on January 13th, when the first galaxies formed 13.4 billion years ago. March 15th, when the Milky Way galaxy was formed. Fast forward 6 months to August 31st, when our sun was born 4.5 billion years ago. September 21st, Earth had cooled down enough to support life. Now on December 30th, at 6:24 a.m., the meteorite that extinguished the dinosaurs struck 65 million years ago. Amazingly, it isn't until December 31st at 11:59 p.m. that we have any type of recorded history, which was 30,000 years ago with the first cave paintings. At 11:59 and 46 seconds is the beginning of our written history, 6,000 years ago. Every single person you have ever heard of, every king, every battle, every invention lived or took place in those 14 seconds. In that last second, we went from looking through a telescope to landing on the moon. And less than a quarter of a second before midnight, you were born. However, before you could even utter the phrase Happy New Year, your life will have come and gone. Isn't it amazing how minuscule our lives are in comparison to the history of the universe? Although we may seem insignificant compared to the grandeur of the universe, we must focus on the importance of the time that we have now. To appreciate this short time, we need to expand the view of our lives. Let's take that quarter second and expand it to 79 years, the average lifespan of an American. This equates to roughly 30,000 days. What will you do with this time? By the time you reach adulthood at age 18, you will have used 6,500 of your days. During this time, you will have graduated high school and be looking to move on to bigger and better things. 8,500 days will be spent sleeping, hopefully most of those next to someone that you love. 1,600 days will be spent eating, drinking, or preparing food. 3,200 days will be spent at work. Maybe not so many of them doing work. 1,000 days will be spent commuting from one place to another. 2,700 days will be spent watching TV in some form or another. That's the equivalent of binge watching all 9 seasons of The Office 1,000 times. 1,500 days will be spent doing household activities like cleaning, shopping. 600 days will be spent visiting loved ones, or friends, family. 650 days will be spent bathing, grooming, and other bathroom-related activity. 700 days will be spent catering to community activities, religious and civic duties. Now this leaves you with just 3,000 days left. What are you going to do with this time? Now imagine that you only have half of that time, 1,500 days. What are you going to do differently? Now imagine that you just have one day, 24 hours to live. What then? We don't know if that 24-hour timer has already started. We may have less time than we actually think. Now we know how much time we have at our disposal. We understand why we need to act. Harvey Mackay, a New York Times best-selling author, said that time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. And once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Our lives are precious. We waste so much time focusing on superfluous things. We owe it to ourselves and to our families, our friends, and our communities to be proactive in the choices that we make and how we spend our time. I hope that you have felt that you are significant and that you want to improve yourselves. Although time is a daunting concept, you now feel motivated to make the most of it. And I implore you to prioritize your time, to focus on what you love, and live your lives with no regrets. And happiness will soon